Howdy, thank you for choosing Graps TV and the Sicko Show. I am your host, the Matty Man. We got a lot on our plate, a long way to go, and a short time to get there today, so I'm going to just jump right into it. As far as Collision went, Collision was absolutely off the chain, but then we had a couple other events too. We had Bash in Berlin with WWE, and we had Capital Collision right before that. So I'm going to cover those two real quickly. We're just going to go right through them here. We had Bash in Berlin, the 2024 side. And we had the opening match there with Cody Rhodes and Kevin Owens. Back and forth a little bit, so on and so forth. Watched it. Gotta say, not much of a moment in this one. This one's just a basic wrestling match here. Just kind of got over the way it should have gotten over. Um, Kevin Owens losing at the end and the handshake and all of that other stuff there, just it was okay. It was okay. And then after that, we had the WWE Women's Tag Team Championship with the Unholy Alliance or the Unholy Union of Alba Fire and Isla Dawn versus Bianca Belair and Jade Cargill. Now, I got to say, this one was a pretty good match across the board. The only problem I have with it is we've got the hot tags backwards at this point. I think that Jay should come in and hot tag out to Bianca, but that's just me at the moment. And that's the way the match was booked. That's the way the match went. We have new women's tag team champions with Bianca Belair and Jade Cargill. Let's hope that this one lasts a lot longer than the last reign did, because you know what? Of all the things that could use a long reign, I'm going to just go out on a limb and say that this one probably should give them a little bit of time to get in the ring and let Jade start getting really used to the WWE thing. Put her out there, let her sink or swim, let her figure her way out. And you got your men are in the ring and everything else, so I don't see a problem with that. But anyway, we have new tag team champions with Bianca Belair and Jade Cargill. Then we had the strap match with the green and red light, and that was CM Punk and Drew McIntyre. And to be honest with you, this was a little bit of a shocker for me. And I got to say this, I really thought going into this match that Drew McIntyre was just going to bowl over CM Punk again, because that's typically how these matches have gone. A lot of talk, a lot of hype, everything else. Once it gets into the ring, the big guy wins every single time. And, not really surprising when that happens. In fact, that's an expected happening for me. The fact that CM Punk was able to overcome Drew McIntyre and finally get the bracelet back, for which the match had absolutely nothing to do with the bracelet, but here we are with the bracelet. You see where I'm going with this? You see why I'm just not. It was very hard for me to be enthused about Bash in Berlin at all, because the only match that really worked for me the whole time was actually the mixed tag team match was coming up next. We had Damian Priest and Rhea Ripley versus Dominic Mysterio and Liv Morgan. Now this was an actual match I could sink my teeth into, not because. And I don't want to go off on a rant here. I don't want to get too long into the Bash in Berlin thing here, but the reality of it is Liv Morgan is not a top 5 wrestler. Now, I understand what everybody's saying, and for real, I mean, if selling merch is what makes you the best at what you do, then John Cena's still basically the number one wrestler in the world and hasn't even been in the ring. So I don't go by merch sales. The one thing that I do go by, though, is in ring performance and in ring ability. Hey, we got 2 viewers here, man. That's really, really cool. Thanks. Thanks for showing up. Hit the chats if you want to. I answer questions when you do that as well. Just figured I'd let you know. The thing, though, getting back to Liv Morgan, the thing that really sat with me in this match to say that, yeah, she's going in the right direction. I don't know if you guys saw that kind of crucifix meets a Canadian destroyer thing that she tried to pin Rhea Ripley with. That was actually a fucking fire move. So I will say that she's improved an awful lot. I'm not going to put her in the top five just simply because I know the women's divisions in Stardom, AEW, and WWE, and I know what's coming to WWE. And I mean, you've got Julia, you've got Stephanie McCour, you've got two others that are coming in that I'm still kind of working my mind around a little bit here. So I would give her top 10 maybe in WWE, but top 5 in the women's division, even in WWE, that's a real stretch for me. It really is. But now, improvement wise, as far as who has improved the most in the ring at all times, then I got to give it to her because she's the most improved wrestler from match to match. From the last match I saw her to the next match, definitely in the ring, way more improved. Her work rate is getting better. So I'm not totally shitting on it. I'm just not buying the top 5 in WWE, or definitely not buying it in the women's division in general. And if you're buying that, man, no, just no. It falls under a yeah, not a top 5, not a top 5 at all. I would say top 10 in WWE, but as far as most improved, as far as thank you, sir, thank you. Um, that is the Covalent TV, which you should catch them tomorrow night after Raw, because they definitely bring that news, facts, data, statistics. They hold a couple of drones accountable. And yeah, you're going to get about a 2 hour stream out of them as well. So by all means, check them out tomorrow night, immediately following Raw. Oh, thanks guys for showing up. I appreciate that. That means the world to me. But then we get down to this last one here. I'm at Gunther and Randy Orton, and aside from everybody who was just blowing this match up, I did actually watch a couple of streams to kind of see where the pulse was for this match. And y'all, this match was not that fucking good. Not at all. It just wasn't. Now, yeah, Gunther was in his hometown. Yeah, Gunther was getting the praise. Yeah, Randy Orton was trying to work around it, but Randy's gotten old. And he's turned into a one trick pony on a lot of things. And I'm just not going to. I mean, I would love to give him flowers for this, but I just couldn't. And that handshake at the end, that was like, no. That was a no for me. Even I don't know if they're neutering Randy Orton. I don't know if they're setting him up for something that's just not possible at his age. Either way, I'm just not. Yeah, I'm not into that one at all. Gunther picks up the win. It's just a short review for this, just to have it out of the way. I know it's already been reviewed into the ground. Gunther picks up the win. The handshake, the thousands of chops. And Randy tried to build it up. I mean, let's get real. Randy went out there, worked his ass off a little bit. I mean, the spot from the top of the steel steps onto the table, which I agree with everybody who's actually got their eyes open or their glasses on. The only place apparently WWE can have a fight is at the announce table. So if you're gonna do it, you know what? Fuck up the German side. Yeah, fuck them anyway. But it's like it's not that Randy didn't work, it's that his work rate now is underappreciated and it's becoming non existent in these big championship matches. Thought it was a dumb match to begin with. Didn't think it was going to work out. And of course, they didn't let me down. It bounced like a basketball off the New York Empire or the Empire State Building. But overall, Bash in Berlin for me was an absolute snoozer. I mean, I mean, we give this shit to insomniacs that don't respond to strong medicine. If you're having a problem with that, here, watch Bash in Berlin. If that don't knock you out, no drug on this planet will. Negative 10. Trying to come up with a moment in my head. The Rhea Ripley spot where she had Dominic was pretty good, because that was actual long term storytelling. So I'll give it that. That'll be the moment for me because nothing else in this entire P moved me at all. Not a single thing. Nothing moved the needle. Nothing developed any ongoing storylines with the exception of the Rhea Ripley, Liv Morgan, which I mean seriously, y'all could find a better man to fight over. I ain't gonna lie. Dominic Mysterio sucks in the ring, sucks on the mic, sucks on everything. I mean, if y'all were gonna fight over a man, at least fight over somebody who can work a mic, okay? That's just my thoughts on that. But yeah, negative 10. That if I'm gonna think of any moment I could have, that's probably gonna be it. So yeah, yeah, let's just not ever do that one again. I mean, I get that they're doing theme spots for people, and the other part of that thing too is the nosebleed seats facing the ring were $500. So at some point in time, I don't know that you stop spending your money foolishly or you set up a scenario where maybe WWE might actually have to work for your business. I, I mean, they've had to work for mine for a long time. I'm not even renewing Peacock again until a major PLE comes up because I can catch most of that shit on Twitter anyway. And, all of my shows that are on Peacock anyway, they're done for the season. So I won't be renewing it until they at least come up. So, I mean, I'm not even going to waste $8 on this match. I feel kind of dirty wasting $8 because it's the only thing on Peacock that I would have watched in the first place. So yeah, negative 10. If I'm coming up with a moment, Rhea Ripley, I can tell you right now, you look real good in AEW with that moveset. Just saying, you pick up a pace like a couple of steps, get up to speed with the rest of the women there, and you would look real good in AEW. That's all I got to say about that. Negative 10. That's the only moment. We're going to move on to Capital Collision, which is actually a show that definitely over delivered on my radar. I got a blog up on it right now as far as on the website grapstv.com, which we've got blogs up now for a lot of our reviews. So if you don't see reviews on here, go check there. Chances are there's a review there. There's probably one there now for Collision, which is pretty extensive as well. And, just check out the site, subscribe, if you will. That way you get the articles that I post when I post them every morning, 8 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. I've got a thing set up. It just sends all the articles out straight to your mailbox. You don't even have to worry about it. Cheap plug. Anyway, moving into moving into Capital Collision. The main event show tonight was definitely the book on this. But there was a lot of good wrestling in between. I mean, our pre-show thing here, we had a strong Survivor match where Matt Vandergriff defeated Alan Breeze via the Bloody Sunday in a pinfall at 6 minutes and 23 seconds. And overall, that one set the tone for the night. There was a lot of energy coming out of that match. See, there's something that New Japan and AEW just automatically know how to do because one, they know you're spending hard earned money, and two, Tony Khan is automatically the king of pay per views anyway. But I can definitely tell that they're catching on his side on the New Japan side too, because they're putting together some pretty strong matches here. And it's not even that they're putting together strong matches, they start that energy off and they keep that energy going through the whole show. They definitely make it worth it. So somebody says, why in the world you spend $50 on a pay per view? Why not? You're going to spend $50 at the movie theater, even here in North Carolina. I mean, just to get in the door is going to cost you about 30. And by the time you get through with your snacks and your drinks, your popcorn, the whole 9 yards, by the time you get through all that, you got $50 in a 2 hour movie that's going to suck ass. Why not put $50 into something you can enjoy? That's basically how I look at it. There's a lot of movies out there now that suck ass. You can't get in the door and out the door for less than $50. So don't even get me started on that. It's ridiculous. But that being said, following that again, also in the pre-show too, we had eNexus V versus Viva Vaughn and Trish Adora, whom I did not know, but Viva Vaughn is probably top three on my radar as available talent, and never disappoints, always brings 100% to the ring, to the mic, around the ring, every little thing she does. Quite well studied. This was absolutely no difference. Even though, and I'm sorry, I left out Mina Shirakawa. How in the hell could I do that? She was in this match. Having those two, sorry, I'm trying not to sneeze, guys. Bear with me here. Those two in a match at the same time, whoever came up with this is absolutely perfect. Anyway, Mina Shirakawa's skillful submission of Vanka showcased their dominance in the ring. Mina Shirakawa was, eNexus V. She was the winner for that one. It was, you knew that was going to happen, but still, you had two future Hall of Famers in the ring on a pre-show right then. Then we went to the New Japan Strong Openweight Tag Team Championship #1 contender three-way match, which was Tomohiro Ishii, Hiroshi Tanahashi. Bad with Japanese names. English is hard enough. But we're going to try it. Against TMDK, which is Bad Dude Tito and Robbie Eagles, and the Grizzled Young Veterans. And that match was pretty easily gone. Tanahashi fly flow on Bad Dude and Tito secured a win for his team. They are the #1 contenders for the Openweight Tag Team Championship. Then afterwards, we had Kevin Knight, Rocky Romero, and Yoshihashi versus the Bullet Club, which is the War Dogs, Kevin Connor, Drilla Maloney, and David Finlay. And, that was a quick win there as well. Even though the match felt like it was longer than 11 minutes and 42 seconds, but who knows. Maloney earned the victory for his team. I was trying to keep notes on everything as I go along here. Sometimes can't remember everything, so we take notes around here. I'm sorry. And then after that, we had a no disqualification match. We had Dirty Work Fred Roser and Filthy Tom Lawler against the West Coast Wrecking Crew of Royce Isaacs and Jarrell Nelson. And they wrapped that match up with Body Lock Slam. I wish I could just go ahead and sneeze and get it over with. Bear with me just a minute, guys. I don't know what it is about it. Every time I get on a stream, my nose just gets tickled. I think it's this thing here. I'm going to fix that later on. But yeah, I mean, the Body Lock Slam pinfall got the win on this one right here. Then after that, we had, let's see, where was I at here? Hang on a second. I'm on my wrong page here, trying not to sneeze. We had Zack Sabre Jr. versus Titan. Zack Sabre Jr., that was a pretty quick match, even though it did not feel like 15 minutes. It was straight energy, top to bottom. Zack Sabre Jr. picks up the pin. Tetsuya Naito versus TGP. Naito beat TGP via just a regular old pinfall. So let's see here. Then we had the New Japan Strong Openweight Tag Team Championship. TMDK, Shane Haste and Mikey Nichols, I'm sorry, versus Virus and Hikachiro. Um, yeah, TMDK won the match with the Tank Buster, and yeah, it was about 15 minutes, give or take. It wasn't that bad. The energy for that one just wasn't there for me, but that's just me. And then we had Hiromu Takahashi versus Mustafa Ali, who has been making the rounds here recently. Man, I'm bad with these names today. Just work with me on that part. Yeah, that was actually one of the matches of the night for me. Went on, it was pretty close to 20 minutes, if not 20 minutes. I don't know the exact minutes on that match. Um, for Mustafa Ali, I had to think about this one for a minute because this is one I was trying to figure out how I was going to present. For Mustafa Ali to give up a win is a big deal. And to give it up at that particular point in time there, he set the table for Takahashi moving forward. And shout out to Mustafa Ali for doing good business. He, you know, and he put the regular cherry on the top the whole time. Still giving it up to him. And then we had Gabe Kidd versus Leo. Oh my God, Leo Rush. That what can is anybody going to disagree with me that Leo Rush right now is the hottest thing in the juniors at all? Does anybody disagree with me on that? If you do, I'm willing to talk about it. But if Leo Rush can keep his head about himself, we are literally watching a man getting made between AEW, New Japan. I think he did a GCW match last night in Chicago. I saw the highlights of that. Then he put over the guy he wrestled at the end of the match. I mean, he literally, no, he didn't do one. Who was it that did that match last night? I got him confused with somebody else. No, it was Mustafa Ali that did the match at GCW last night, not Leo Rush. Still, Mustafa Ali, he put over. I wish I knew that guy's name. I see him all the time on GCW, and he really is good. And I'm learning names, bad with names. Can't help it at all times. Shout out to the 5 viewers we got. I really appreciate it. Let's see here. But yeah, Gabe Kidd, Leo Rush. I mean, and that fire ass promo after that match, oh, God, that was good. That was really good. That set the table for the night for New Japan Strong Women's Championship. Mercedes Monet against Momo Wannabe. Watanabe. I'm sorry, Watanabe. Sorry. Blah, blah, blah. I I like the way they spell some of this stuff. Um. Anyway, hang on a second. My phone decides to blow up. Tell everybody, hey, I'm going on stream right now. But anyway, that's cool. That's my wife. She's allowed to blow it up. Mercedes Monet against Momo Watanabe. That entrance, I actually sent that entrance to somebody that I follow. Doesn't follow me back. His name's Ice T. He's been, y'all might know him. But we do, he does answer my posts sometimes and things like that. I threw this entrance out there at him. I said, I didn't know if you knew this or not, but this is like Snoop's cousin or niece or something like that. And she brought the Breakers out with her because he was really hot for the Breakers in the Olympics. I kind of took it in. It kind of reminded me of when I was growing up, so to speak. Break dancing, or breakers as they call it now. Breakdancing was real big when I was a kid. We all did it. I could do it, not very well. Emphasis on the break, not so much on the dancing part, so to speak. But yeah, it was pretty cool. And I thought the way she brought them out there, because since that hit the Olympics, it's been a big deal, and I respect it. And I'm glad to see that our culture is embracing it now, because if I got $1 for every time we were called spazzes in high school, for knowing how to do these things are idiots or nerds or dweebs. We were actually called that because where I grew up, nobody particularly liked that sort of thing. But I thought it was cool. I thought it was something to do. But she brought those out there, and that just really, really set the tone for me. It told me she was going to be in there for a classic match, and she was bringing some culture with her to highlight that culture. And overall, it was great. Her how you can look at Mercedes Monet and not see her as an actual top five, if not top three. But then I see this post says, does anybody else think Liv is like a top three in the whole world? No. Fuck no. Hell no. Especially after matches like that. How can you watch matches like that? Go back and watch Bash at Berlin and say, you know what? The 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 blonde chick in the Bash thing is so much better than the black chick at the Capitol. You come on, seriously. Like, comment, share. You know, engagement. I'm happy to engage with anybody. Covalent throws a comment in there, and not only do I engage with them, I plug them for the Monday show. So, I mean, seriously, if you wonder if I'm going to talk back, go ahead and drop them in there. Otherwise, the rest of this thing's going to go just as quick as theirs when people don't engage. Plain and simple. So, but yeah, Mercedes Monet hits the moneymaker. Guess we can't call it the bank statement or anything else like that because we ooh WWE. No, we don't want to do that. Yeah, WWE good, AW bad, AW bad. No, AW good, whatever works. That's been the funniest segment on my main on the stream that I follow, the one that I actually follow with the Covalent TV. That has been the funniest segment for me at all times. It's hilarious, and I think it actually does help a little bit for the algorithm, but you couldn't prove it by me. But yeah, now we're going to get into the meat and bones of the night. Ladies and gentlemen, now it is time for your AEW Collision review. And not gonna lie, I was expecting more because of the way the matches have been going so far. Dynamite was okay for me. I mean, Dynamite was really good for me. Rampage was okay for me. All In was all in. It was everything in a bag of chips. Leading up to All In, all the matches in there. And then we've got All Out coming out next week, September the 9th, 8th, something like that. Today's first. Yeah, anyway, next Saturday, September 7th, sorry. We've got All Out coming out, so I thought that with that happening, that we would get the same levels of matches that we got leading into All In. I'm going to say I'm about 50% there because we kicked off with the Ring of Honor Pure Champion Lee Moriarty, which I did not realize he was still that. And the Beast Mortos and Johnny TV versus Hologram, Kyle O'Reilly, and Orange fucking Cassidy. But at least they got the shit out of the way, match one. I want to stop right here for just a minute because this is one of the very few things that really does get under my skin with AEW is, okay, Tony, you built a star. His name is Hologram. Do not, for the love of God and all things holy, do not tether him to your favorites and people who need to get over organically on their own without extra pops. Which is exactly what the hell happened here. Tell me when I'm telling lies. The action started with Kyle O'Reilly ducking a kick from Johnny TV and grappling him to the mat. This led to a tag. Orange Cassidy and Lee Moriarty tagged in for their respective teams, engaging in chain wrestling. Yeah, chain wrestling, telling stories in the ring. But I really felt like this match was more highlighting Hologram and Beast Mortos, who has, should be, and should always be getting way more TV time than Orange Cassidy. Shout out for Chris Jericho not fucking being there. Thank you. Not being in a match. Just, I mean, I think he had a backstage segment, but I didn't cover it. I didn't care to cover it. I don't know. He might have had, or that might just be PTSD flashbacks because they've been throwing his ass in everything lately, like he's been in the middle of everything. But Hologram did not need Orange Cassidy. He damn sure didn't need Orange Cassidy. He didn't really need Kyle O'Reilly. And he didn't need this 6 man. But what he did do was work really well in those moments that he had with Beast Mortos, which I thought when they put this trios thing together, it was just some booking tricks to get Hologram and Beast Mortos in the ring together at the same time, which did successfully happen. It did successfully pop the crowd. Beast Mortos is a hell of an athlete. Hologram is going to be a hell of a star for many years to come. We did not need the supporting cast for all of this. This would have worked a whole lot better as a singles match by itself. I understand from a booking standpoint why in the world you don't book it right away. But if this is not a match at all out, why are we doing this? Someone explain that to me. Anybody. I don't care. Throw a comment out. I'll probably get some hate comments on YouTube. Go ahead and explain that to me. On why in the world we needed this supporting cast for this match. Not that I have a problem with Lee Moriarty. Not that I have a problem with Johnny TV. Johnny TV is, John Morrison is a solid veteran with an understanding of more than one way to tell a story. And I could see his presence there maybe on the sideline. Orange Cassidy's worthless. Kyle O'Reilly's not worthless, but very damaged. And the Hologram is so good so early. That was absolutely unnecessary whatsoever to have this mix. We would have done just fine with Hologram and the Beast Mortos one on one. It would have worked better that way. Just an opinion. Just an actual opinion. But Hologram and everybody else, they pick up the win in this match here. Tony Schiavone comments that Hologram is now 6-0, which Tony, you didn't need to say that. We already knew. Trust me, if you've been on Twitter for 5 minutes and a cup of coffee, you already know that Hologram has 5 wins, but he doesn't have a story. We are quite well aware of Hologram's win and loss record. Did not need to be shouted out. Glad that you did. But what's one trios match without another? So we get the Bang Bang Gang, Juice Robinson, Austin, and Colton Gunn against the premier athletes Tony Nese, Josh Woods, and Aria Davari, with Smart Mark Sterling. Filler, just absolute filler. Not bad filler, don't get me wrong. Bang Bang Gang really showed up. And we got another layer of Juice Robinson in this. In fact, when I was on Twitter earlier today, probably saw a whole lot of people saying, y'all think Juice does this just for the TV? No, he does this when we get a new flavor of creamer in concessions. So we got a new layer of Juice Robinson, and I'm starting to kind of like the journey that he's going on. I just wish they would pull the rest of the Bang Bang Gang into this journey. And I heard this on a Covalent stream, And I'm happy to say that part of it. And guys, if you're still watching, I say this all the time. I saw this on a Covalent stream at one point in time that uh, Billy Gunn needs to get away from the Alamed, which I've always agreed with. The Alamed are just a waste. They're a waste of television time. They need to be split up. Billy Gunn needs to be gone with them, needs to be back with his kids because his kids could really use the mentoring. They could use the rub. They could use that Billy Gunn rub that he keeps giving to the Elaine for no good fucking reason other than they're there. I can't understand that. But long story short on this one, Bang Bang Gang, they picked up the win. It was a reasonably good technical match. Can't argue with it at all. Then we come out with FTR, Cash Wheeler, and Dax Hardwood versus Matt Taven, Mike Bennett. This was an okay match. This was an absolute okay match. There were a lot of good spots, a lot of good, a little bit of chain wrestling, a little bit of good back and forth. But, you automatically knew that at some point in time, you know, FTR was just going to pick the win up. That's what they do. This match was incredibly unbalanced. I do have a lot of respect for Matt Taven and Mike Bennett in the ring. I don't have a lot of respect for them as people, but their ability in the ring is unmatched. I don't even have a question with that. I'm just not a particular fan of either one of them personally. But FTR, they executed crazy German suplexes like they normally do, and Dax picks up the win over. Let's see, I can't remember. Yeah, he covered Taven. He picked up the win over Taven. So I mean, in a way, Bennett was totally protected in that for whatever reason. I thought Bennett ought to have picked up the pinfall. At least he should have been the one pinned. But that's just me. That's just me. But post match we get the grizzled young veterans ambushing FTR, and why, why are we gonna have grizzled young veterans attacking FTR every show segment now? Is this what we're doing? Okay, we get it. They're gonna have a match, but that was totally unnecessary. The match itself was filler to me. Uh, Dax and Cash got out and did basic Dax and Cash shit, which I'm not arguing about it because I do understand their point of view. Like they were getting hammered for the match, the last match, and they put 30 minutes in the ring there, and everybody was talking about how shitty the match was. Well, yeah, I tell you what, you try running around for a half hour, banging each other on some boards. That's actually what the mat is. It's boards with a bunch of canvas on top of steel. You try doing that for 30 minutes, get back to me on how athletic you are. I can tell you right now, you wouldn't be and you won't be. But that notwithstanding, I mean, basically we had the same Dax Hardwood Cash Wheeler match that we always get. And to me, the worker in this whole thing was Matt Taven, and that's why I kind of thought Mike Bennett ought to have picked up the pin because Mike Bennett didn't put a third of the work in that Matt Taven did, at least in my eyes. Now, I could be wrong. If I'm wrong, throw me a chat out there. I'll respond. I don't mind. Like, comment, share, so on and so forth. But yeah, the grizzled young veterans, they had some harsh words after they jumped all over them, so on and so forth. Then we had our obligatory Lance Archer beats the fuck out of some people you've never seen before backstage segment. I'm going to escape that altogether. And I am not going to cover all that at all. Yeah, Lance Archer, he beat the hell out of some people, slammed their head in the locker. Who's never seen that went to high school? Moving right along, we had an 8-man tag. We had Top Flight, Leo Rush, and Action Andretti with Layla Gray versus. Uh, this was a horrible match. This was a horrible match. This was horrible. It was bad. It wasn't funny. It wasn't entertaining. It wasn't any of that. It was not any of that. But we had them going against Jack Jameson, the Iron Savages, and Turbo Floyd. I think we were trying desperately not to go to Titty City because, I'm not particularly fond of seeing some dudes licking on some other dude's nipples. I'm not fond of that at all. So um the best way to put this is Top Flight Top Flight Leo Rush and Action Andretti picked up the pinfall. And then we got into a decent match here with Kyle Fletcher and Tomohiro Ishii, because this was the price of admission match right here. This is the first time since I've seen Tomohiro Ishii, our sexual lord and savior. Yeah, I know. If you don't say it, I will. Um, Tomohiro Ishii made Kyle Fletcher look like $1,000,000 in this match, and Kyle Fletcher made Tomohiro Ishii look like $1,000,000 in return. They had the chops, they had the stuff, the things that annoy, and all that. And I get it. I get it. I totally get it. Every time you have a Japanese wrestler on there, must chop, must chop. Yeah, they did some of that. But man, Ishii, that hip toss that he did to him, man, and that look in his face like, I'm going to kill you, that was just totally perfect. And you really thought, as opposed to the average Kyle Fletcher match that didn't involve um, Ricochet. Boy, I'm having a hard time with names today. You know, aside from the Kyle Fletcher match that had Ricochet in it, somebody that's on his level as far as high flying and everything else, you generally see Kyle Fletcher looking way stronger than he looked. Tomohiro Ishii looked like a fucking beast in this match. And especially after, I know some of y'all who watched All In, if you remember that Spike pile driver where he stood on his head for like 30 seconds to sell it, to show you that he was selling it, I thought, man, this guy's got some skills I haven't seen before. And sure enough, shows up against Kyle Fletcher. You know, I mean, Fletcher had to hit him with a pile driver, then a tombstone pile driver, and had to plant him like a fucking flower to get him to lay down. This is the Tomohiro Ishii that we have all been dying to see. I think it's like his 15th match since he's been over to the States. And by far and away, I'm looking for him to start winning matches, if that's okay with y'all now. Can we have him start winning singles matches? Because this guy needs a run of something, be it the FTW title or whatever. We need to put something on him in appreciation for it. We really do. Because that Tomohiro Ishii match was top shelf. It was really good. I don't care what anybody says. I like the match. Definitely wasn't filler. Um, definitely wasn't junk. Like the, oh, I don't know, the previous match, absolute filler, absolute junk. It was a good follow up. Then we had some backstage tension here with the bastard Pac. You know, he's long overdue. He's done waiting. We've already had the Pac gives a damn good promo. I'm not going to try to restate it. I'm not going to try to reword it. Pac gave a Pac promo getting ready for All Out, and it was fire. It was everything that needed to be said. He didn't miss a beat. I'm not going to paraphrase it because I don't want to screw it up. If you want to see it, go see it again. I think I've got it listed on the site grapstv.com under the Pac thing. I do believe I grabbed it, threw it in there. If I didn't, I will before the end of the day so you can actually see the interview, because words don't do that thing justice at all. It was good. Pac's getting really good mic work in right now. He's selling this match, and him and Osprey are going to be absolutely. It's going to be your top three, if not your top two, if not the match of the night, depending on how Daniel Bryan and Jack Perry go. This is either going to be the number one or number two match of the night. And I'm perfectly fine with the number one and number two match of the night not having MJF in it or Britt fucking Baker. Fuck Britt Baker. Understand? Fuck her. I mean, but Pac and Osprey has a chance to be the match of the night. This one can actually steal. If you've never seen Pac, you've never seen Osprey, this will be worth your price of admission. This one match. Now, a lot of others are going to bring it, but I think this match right here is going to be the match of the night for me. So, yeah, then we get Buddy Matthews versus Commander with Werner's favorite guy, Alex the Hype Man. Sorry, can't let that one go. It was a good back and forth. I really thought this match delivered. The second half of this card, the first half was okay. The second half of this card, they started picking up some steam, and of course they started picking up some actual good faith vibes in the building. You know, they started picking that up pretty damn quick. So anyway, yeah, the only thing about this one, Tony. Oh, Buddy Matthews picks up the win. By the way, that was not even a question. Buddy Matthews picked up the win. Hang on a second. There we go. There we go. Now I'm not having feedback in my ears. Buddy Matthews picks up the win without a problem. Then we get a clip from MXM that should never have been shown on television. For those folks who have no earthly idea what blacked means, that's a good thing that you don't know. Anyway, yeah, that segment was absolute gutter trash. I don't know why Tony lets them have a mic every single week. These are also people I would rather see Chicken Boy try to be a comic every week now than to see MXM even get close to a mic. That's they're getting a little bit out there, Tony. Might want to rein them in. I don't have a problem with most of their promos, but now they're getting downright pornographic with it. We're just going to have to stop that. I mean, it didn't really work for WCW. And the only way it worked in WWE or WWF at the time, this is before they got the F out, um, the only way it worked was just the absolute the mentality of the viewership at that time. We have since become woke in about 6,000 other ways. So you don't have the same audience that we had in WCW and then WWF. You don't have that 18 to 32-year-old man, boy, and or you had a few men that popped out of there, but they all went to war. Um, you don't have that mentality. You don't have that mindset. Unfortunately, these two chodes right here still have that mentality and still have that mindset when it comes to cutting the promos. You should probably take the mic completely out of their hands. Make it go away. Oh, and WWE, thumbs up. AEW, thumbs down. Bad. Anyway, that was just hilarious to me, guys. And it's so hilarious. I said, you know what? I want to do that on one stream. One. It's not going to get over like they did it, but it's funny as hell to me. So that's that. But that led us into our main event. We had Queen Aminata versus Serena Deeb versus Hikaru Shida versus Thunder Rosa. And I gotta say, coming into this match, I'm like, well, I mean, this is before we got the stipulations. Coming into this match, I was like, well, it's a hell of a women's match. It's a good way to close out the night, etc., etc. But what's it all about? Then, halfway through the television show, we get the stipulation of the winner of this match faces Mercedes Moné at All Out. And at that point, your brain starts trying to cook a little bit. Well, now, who in the world would you want to see there? Queen Aminata? Yeah. Hikaru Shida? Yes. Both of those. So now you're starting to watch the match with a little bit of a different lens. Good on Tony, because that saved this show for me. I love AEW more than anybody. Probably as much as some of the people that I follow and admire and look forward to being somewhat 10% of what they are on the mic one of these days. We all love AEW. But this show, to that point, was ass. As it rolled over into the second half of the show, it started picking up steam. The first half of that show was complete ass. It's basic rehashes of everything that we've already seen when we had an opportunity to put on a better set of matches that might have rolled us into All Out. Now we've literally just got Dynamite, because everything else that's going to be happening on Collision and Rampage, which are going to be live on Friday, it's going to be hard to feed in for investment ratings into All Out. So this was really the show farthest out but closest to where you could actually start building stuff. So in my estimation, that announcement from Tony, which, I mean, okay, I know it's wrestling is a scripted sport. Wrestling is a scripted sport. Wrestling is a sport with scripts. I understand that. I got that. So on cue, when Tony announced this match was going to be for a shot at Mercedes Moné, the rest of the show picked up after that. The morale picked up, the fans picked up, everything picked up. They started putting more into it than what they were getting out. The wrestlers picked it up, and this was absolutely uh, this was no exception right here. Serena Deeb got in there, worked her ass off like she always does. Thunder Rosa and Serena Deeb had a couple of nice spots together. Queen Aminata and Hikaru Shida had a couple of nice spots together. I'm making all of this long story short here because I don't want to keep, it's shout out to 11 viewers though. Hey, I'm 11 is good for me. Thank you. So in my mind, going into this match, there were only two people that could actually do it, and it was going to be Aminata or Shida. And Shida had such a damn good match right before All In that I kind of thought she would be the one. And part of me really wanted Aminata in there because, damn it, we just need more of that. And then, we need more, especially in the wake of this past week with WWE and their glad handing and their bad faith takes on things, and how all of a sudden, just because Triple H went from worker to COO, now paying people what they're worth is a bad idea. It's bad for the business, and it wasn't bad for the business. I'm going somewhere with this. Work with me. It wasn't bad for the business when MJF said that Tony handed him $15 million. I don't think they handed him $15 million. He doesn't believe Tony handed him $15 million. But whatever he handed him was substantial. Substantial enough to keep him at AEW. I know that WWE didn't have that much interest in him once he was injured. But the point of that is, let's say Tony did give him $15 million for 3 years or 5 years. That'd be $3 to $5 million a year, etc., etc., etc. WWE, quiet as a church. Mercedes Moné, she gets a bag. WWE, little bit of rumble. Swerve Strickland gets a real bag. WWE, mad. Me, laughing. Because you had every opportunity in the world to secure Swerve Strickland, and you didn't know what the fuck you were doing. Still don't know what the fuck you were doing. But all of a sudden, it's a bad thing, and I don't think it has anything to do with the fact that Swerve was world champion. I believe it had everything to do with the fact that he was black. I'm saying the quiet part out loud. Don't care if I lose viewers for it. So, getting back into this match, I was setting all that up, set this up. My brain really leveled into Queen Aminata because Queen Aminata versus Mercedes Moné would have been a massive statement on the pay-per-view. Not that Hikaru Shida is not a match. Not that Hikaru Shida is not a match that I don't want to see. I really want to see that match. But the other part of me wanted to see that just for Tony giving that right back to WWE for all the bitching they did about him actually paying a wrestler what they're worth. But it wasn't to be. I mean, Thunder Rosa worked her ass off, Serena D worked her ass off, Hikaru Shida worked her ass off, and Queen Aminata worked her ass off the whole time. Long story short on that one, Hikaru Shida comes out the victor, and we have Hikaru Shida versus Mercedes Moné at All Out in Chicago next Saturday. I'm personally going to be seated for that match. I'm going to be heavy this week on Collision. Collision for me was maybe the second half of the show saved most of the show for me, but I'm still sitting on about a 5 for Collision. And I mean, moment of the night for me, Hikaru Shida and Queen Aminata working their ass off. That would be the moment of the night for me for that one. But I'm really in between a 4 and a 5 on this set, because like I said earlier, this is the furthest away close show you've got to set the table for All Out. And I don't really feel like it set much of the table. It gave us one match, whereas all the other stuff is responsible for the other 5. Dynamite's going to have to work hard to get the matches over, and it didn't need to be that way. Collision could have carried its share of the load, considering you got the pay-per-views 2 weeks apart. Going into that thing, I think Tony needs to start asking more out of his workers. I think he needs to sit them all down and say, guys, come on, man. It's a couple of weeks out of the year. I give you all the time off to do everything else you want to do. Now help me out doing something we need to do so I can give you that time off. Shout out for not having Britt Baker on this show at all, period, end of discussion. I don't think she was on Wednesday's show. She damn sure wasn't on Friday. Shout out for not having her on, because at least in that particular standpoint right there, we didn't have to worry about the oxygen being sucked out of the building while she told us how great she was and how she was the first and all this other lamby-bamby bullshit. And they took her off the poster, so that tells me if they took her off the graphic, maybe we don't get her for All Out, because you should be that punished for sucking that bad at your company's biggest pay-per-view. You should be punished for that. Quite literally be punished. That's neither here nor there, though. But I'm about to get out of here. It's only been an hour. I know it's only been an hour. But we got NXT coming up tonight, and I haven't decided whether I'm going to cover that yet or not. That'll be a game time decision based on how the first 2 matches go. If the first 2 matches go pretty decent, I will cover NXT's No Mercy tonight. But if these first 2 matches are ass, it's going to wind up in a blog on my website at grapstv.com. Once again, you can go to grapstv.com, you can subscribe, and you get all the blog articles as I write them. You don't even have to go back to the page. You just get articles sent to you, the whole 9 yards. I definitely am not going to spam you with a marketing campaign. Don't believe in it. Hate them when I get them myself. Hate to have to block people that I care about. I just don't like the way they do the marketing either, so I'm not going to do that. The only thing you're going to get in your mailbox is my blog posts every day. Most of the time I only do 4 or 5, so it's not even that big a deal. But you only get it one time a day, 8 o'clock in the morning, first thing in your office. Get all the wrestling news you want, all the wrestling news you need. Yeah, follow us at grapstv.com. But that does it for me today. So I want y'all to know, having 12 people in here mean the absolute world to me. Having Covalent TV in the house today, absolute fire. Thank you for being here, and thank you for commenting. But we got another night of pay-per-view wrestling, and I'm still thinking about whether I'm going to cover GCW or not. But with that said, I may or may not see you tonight. If I don't, then I will definitely see you next week at some point in time. Haven't decided when I'm going to stream between now and Saturday. but I'll definitely give you 24 hours notice. And I just want to say good afternoon. Thank you for being wonderful. And good afternoon, America, wherever you are.